What is up, everyone? It's Monday again, so we're going to have our Monday metagame update. But this is going to be a little bit of a different one because we have the new set coming out in just a couple days. But yeah, let's get into it. Alrighty, so yeah, Monday metagame update. Um, Standard is, pretty much the same, but it's about to change in 2 days, so not a whole lot of point talking about what's going on in Standard. You still got your aggro doing very strong in best of one. You still got your Esper and Grixis, and even Mono Red doing pretty well in best of three. So none of that has changed. The only thing I want to talk about in Standard before we get into the next set is this tournament that happened last weekend. So this was the regional championship, the US regional championship. It was won by Joshua Willis, and he was playing a Rakdos Reanimator deck. So reanimating Atraxa to, draw a bunch of cards and swing in for a bunch of damage. So let's take a look at the breakdown of the decks that were played in this tournament. It was mostly Esper Legends, and Esper actually did the best in terms of win rate. However, Rakdos midrange also very respectable and second highest win rate in the well, actually looks like Jeskai had a slightly higher win rate, but okay, one of the highest win rates. Um, but yeah, it was taken down by the Reanimator deck. Pretty standard stuff, but did have Atsushi in there, which is something we don't see very often. And Liliana, also something that we don't see that often. However, the Atraxa, that's what we expect. And the rest of it is pretty normal. Cruelty of Gix, Fable of the Mirror Breaker, all the really powerful cards in Standard. So yeah, I mean, congrats to Joshua for getting that. And Atraxa was, I would say, doing pretty well, but wasn't really considered the top deck. So to take down the tournament with it is pretty good. Esper is one of the strongest deck we've been seeing a lot in recent tournaments. Grix is also doing pretty respectable. But Rakdos took down the tournament, so yeah. But to be fair, not a lot of that matters because the new set is coming out in 2 days and we're going to have a completely new standard. And I'm fairly confident of that based on what I've experienced in the early access event. And I want to talk about my thoughts and feelings on some of the new cards and the new archetypes that I think are going to appear in the new set. So yeah, let's take a look at it. So I posted on Twitter some of the cards that really stood out for me as being very strong and doing very well, either with me playing them or playing against them. And some people share the same sentiments as me. For example, this person is talking about how they think green is going to be very strong, and these two cards are some of the ones that are very powerful. And I definitely agree. Tribute to the World Tree is a really, really insane green card. It is basically a must remove on site. If you let it go on for even one turn, you can be in a lot of trouble, which is pretty annoying because it's an enchantment. So you have to figure out how you can get rid of an enchantment. I think this means that enchantment removal is going to have to be kind of a main deck card that a lot of people are running. Some way to get rid of a non-land permanent or to get rid of an enchantment. So Invoke Despair, still good because of this, because it removes enchantments, so it's a card that you can main deck that removes enchantments. In white, we'll probably see some maybe Destroy Evil come into it. We might see some of the Banishing Light type effects that exile non-land permanents. And for the other colors, it's tough to say. I really feel like blue is going to become the weakest color once this new set comes out because it just doesn't have answers for really anything. The counter spells are all really narrow. Of course, there's Make Disappear, but Make Disappear only really good in the early game. Then it's much weaker for the mid and late game, and people have kind of learned to play around it in a lot of ways. So yeah, I feel like blue is the weakest. Not getting, they didn't really get that many good draw spells. I guess Silver Scrutiny is good, but again, that's kind of situational draw. Memory Deluge, maybe that's your best bet. So. But still, not a whole lot of good things going on for blue from what I can tell in the new set. And green getting really powerful. It's got this one. Um, this one I'm not as confident on, but it's definitely a powerful card. Ozolith, kind of like the Hardened Scales. Very similar to that. It doubles the number of counters. It can put counters on your stuff, and it cycles if you draw this and you don't need it. So never a dead card, and it seems pretty strong. Along with that, there is another really good green card that is going to be the reason why green becomes a thing. And that is this one, the Doomscar Krieger. 4 mana, 4/3. I can't believe this is not in English, but sorry, I'll just read what it says. It has backup 1, and whenever you have backup, you put a counter on another creature, and that creature gets all the abilities of this creature. And this one has trample, and it has whenever it deals damage to the opponent or to a battle, then you get to look at the top, I think, 4 cards of your deck, so they can anticipate and get a creature card from there. So in a mono green creature based deck, this is insane. They have something on turn 2 or something on turn 3, and they put the backup on it. They get a free creature, and they have this 4/3, which will also get a creature because it has trample. So pretty much they're going to get 2 cards out of it. It's really insane. Means you have to keep the board clear at all times, which is not easy to do because, as I mentioned, they have this enchantment as well, which is going to be drawing them cards and giving them counters. So you not only have to worry about a really powerful must remove enchantment, you also have to worry about basically this potential drawing somebody 2 cards and giving them a creature, kind of like a 3-for-1 effect that comes down. So yeah, it's very hard to deal with, and I think it's going to mean that the deck is quite strong coming up. Also, green has big toughness creatures, so it means it's tough for the aggro decks to deal with. Um, on top of that, anything that they play early in the game, like cheap creatures, are going to get the 2+2+1, 2+1/+1 counters, meaning that they're going to just be huge. So they might play like there's shoot, I don't know, any of their 2 mana creatures are going to come down with 2+1/+1 counters. They're going to be 4/4s. They're going to be 5/5s, things like that, or I guess 4/5s maybe. But you get the point. They're big. They're hard to deal with, and it's just going to run away with the game very quickly. So green, definitely going to be a deck. I'm sure of it. It's very strong. I honestly think green might become the best. People were saying that they didn't think green was getting much, but those 2 cards, they are enough, I think, to make green probably a tier 1 deck. It's probably going to be a tier 1 deck. We'll have to see how Soldiers matches up against it, but if they have any sort of reach in their deck, I think they're going to stop Soldiers and they're going to become tier 1. On top of that, there were a few other strong cards that I didn't see coming. For example, Chandra is a planeswalker that got spoiled pretty early in the spoilers, but the ability to copy an instant or sorcery every turn is really powerful. And on top of that, you play this on 6, you get 2 mana back with that +2, meaning you can play Chandra, you can +2, you can cast Go for the Throat, and you get to kill 2 of the opponent's creatures. And Chandra has 7 loyalty now. So most likely, if they don't immediately untap and have some sort of planeswalker removal, you're gonna win the game. So yeah, it's really strong. It's just a really strong card. If you have any more mana than that, if you somehow play this on turn 8 when you have 2 mana, then you can do again the same thing on the opponent's turn. There's also some combo with like Fable, the Mirror Breaker, and the Vicious Hellraiser, where you can copy your Hellraiser on the opponent's turn, cast a spell for free from your graveyard. Chandra's gonna copy that spell, so you get double the spell. So you could like double Invoke Despair or something on the opponent's turn. Just really crazy plays like that because you're always copying spells. So yeah, this card is really strong. Even the minus ability, which you don't want to do, but sometimes it's worth it. You play this, you do like a -3 or a -4. You kill 2 creatures, or you kill a creature in a battle, or whatever, or you kill the creature and you damage their face, and depending on how low they are. So yeah, even that, it's not horrible. then they still have to deal with Chandra, and they lost creatures, and you might have flipped the battle. So it's always at least a 2-for-1, and that's what makes it so strong. And they just have to deal with it. I guess it's always pretty much always going to be a 3-for-1, honestly. Like if you play this, you kill 2 creatures, and then they spend a removal to kill Chandra, that's 3-for-1. So yeah, it's just really good. It's a really good card. So I think likely this is going to fit into some sort of control deck, either Jeskai, Grixis, Rakdos, is it something like that? That's playing a lot of instants and sorceries, and yeah, it's gonna be really powerful there. Um, I could see it in some sort of red burn deck as well, with maybe with Koth, and just a bunch of burn spells. That's also a possibility, just a big red deck, because it works just as well with Lightning Strike as it does with anything else. Yeah, so you might just play this +2, go 6 to the face, or you could even -5 immediately and go 5 to the face. So yeah, there's a chance this is the top end of like a big red burn deck. All right. On top of that, like to go along with Chandra and the red decks, we saw that there's Nahiri's Warcrafting, which is a really good removal spell. Kills Shieldred, which is really important in the format. But more importantly than that, if you don't use it on Shieldred, so that was a lot of problem with the other 5 damage spells, is yes, it kills Shieldred, but it's a waste of resources for any other creature in the deck. Well, Nahiri's Warcrafting will basically, if you kill anything else that's less than 5 toughness, you get to find a land to play or a cheap spell to play off the top of your deck. And that's just really valuable. Makes it a 2-for-1 in a lot of instances against cheaper creatures. So just icing on the cake, I guess. It makes it worth playing in your main deck. And then we got this one, Volcanic Spite. 2 mana, deal 3 to creature, planeswalker, or battle. Which, if we want to be playing battles, this is one of the main things that you can do to kind of deal with the battles. And you also get to discard a card and draw a card if you desire. So if you're missing your land drop or something like that, you can do that. I guess it's not a discard technically. It goes to the bottom of your library, but still, um, it's pretty useful for that ability anyway. So fixes your draw a little bit, deals damage to almost anything except for face, and it can help you flip battles. So it's just very solid 2 mana spell. Red. All right, and then depending on your deck, there's Invasion of Tarkir, which is kind of like a 2 mana shock. But if you have any dragons, this could become a 3 mana spell, which makes it worth it. And it's like a lightning strike because it can go face, it can hit anything, planeswalkers, face, creatures, battles, etc. It can't hit itself, which makes sense. But if you have more than one of these, you can shoot down your other battles with this. And when you flip it, it becomes a pretty powerful dragon creature, a 4/4 dragon that has an additional ability. So I think any deck that's running even just like 4 dragons probably would be enough to say, okay, maybe I want to include this. And as we mentioned, Nahiri's Warcrafting and the Spite, Volcanic Spite, they can hit battles. So that's another reason to include this battle, is because you have these removal spells which can be helpful in also flipping your battle. All right, in terms of other colors, so we got black, got a few decent cards. Pylon, it's removes creatures or planeswalkers and surveils too, so it can fix your next few draws. Or if you have some sort of graveyard stuff like Underdog, or maybe you have Capricious Hellraiser, which wants to cast from the graveyard, the surveil can help you kind of achieve that. And it's just pretty solid. The Convoke means that you can sometimes cast it sooner than you would expect, like turn 3 or turn 2, depending on how many creatures you have. So yeah, it's a pretty solid removal spell, I would say. Then Hidetsugu and Kairi is a 5 mana 5/4 flying creature that basically casts Brainstorm. So you draw 3 and you put 2 back on top of your deck. And then if it dies, you get to cast something from the top of your deck for free and also deal damage to the opponent. This is just a solid creature, 5 mana. It's a big threat, 5/4 flying. And the opponent is a little bit scared to kill it because they don't know if you're going to win the game when they kill it. Since there's a combo with this, Hidetsugu and Explosive Singularity. So they have to be a little bit careful about killing it, but at the same time, they want to kill it because it's a giant creature. Um, Even if you don't have the combo in your deck, I think this is a solid card to include in pretty much any Dimir deck. It's card advantage, and it's a little bit of fixing for your draws, and it also does damage to the opponent's face with no matter what is on the top of your deck. So yeah, just a great 2-for-1 that can sometimes be even better, and I would say any blue-black deck will want this card. We got a Reanimator card here with Archpriest of Shadows. I got to try it out a little bit on the early access event, and I did the thing with the backup and one of my like evasive 2-drops, and got to reanimate Atraxa on turn 5 with this. And then they killed the Atraxa, and I'm able to swing in again and reanimate it again. So yeah, it does the thing. It's very strong. I think backup is really strong, to be honest. All the backup cards are most likely to be very good. And this is no exception. So expect to see this in some sort of Atraxa deck or Reanimator deck because it's really solid. And the other good black card is this one, the Grafted Butcher. This one has to fit in a Phyrexian deck, and I haven't found the best one yet. There's a white-black Phyrexian, there's a red-black Phyrexian, I even did a blue-black Phyrexian, but I'm not sure. So we'll have to see which one emerges to the top. I think all of them have potential. Maybe white-black has some enchantment cards that are Phyrexian related that could be good. So it could end up being white-black as the Phyrexian deck of choice, but either way, this is a strong card. Buffs all your Phyrexians. It gives them menace, and it has graveyard recursion, so very hard to deal with. I think that's it for the black cards. Since we talked about Hidetsugu, let's go ahead and do the blue cards. So we've got this one, which is really, really nice. Invasion of Segovia. I played this in a Jeskai tokens deck. I also have, I think I have a blue-white tokens deck as well that I didn't get to try out, but the Jeskai one, this one was awesome. It was really great. Just getting those 2 tokens is sweet. The fact that you have a bunch of tokens already from like Skrell's Hive or a wedding announcement or things like that means you can flip this pretty easily. And then when you flip it, it's just so powerful. It becomes a 3/3 creature that lets you use your tokens to convoke, and it also untaps 4 of your creatures, so you can swing in, untap them, or you can convoke something with them, and then untap them, and then convoke something at instant speed at the end. So just really, really strong card, and I'm sure this is going to spawn some sort of token archetype. Not sure the colors, but it's definitely really, really strong. Rona is another of the blue cards that was pretty powerful from playing against it. There is a deck that has Rona plus the Relic of Legends, and I actually did lose to this deck. The opponent I was playing against was not doing it super well, and they still beat me. So the fact that there's a pretty powerful combo there with Rona, Relic of Legends, and Lauren. There's a Lauren that brings back legends from the graveyard. You can get this like infinite cycle where you're playing Skrelv, and then play tap with Rona to make the mana. You play another Skrelv that untaps. You tap again for more mana, and your Lauren is letting you bring back a legend from the graveyard every time you play a legend. So you just get like infinite mana basically from that. And then I forget how they won. Oh yeah, there's another card, Elias, I think, which every time a creature leaves the battlefield, you drain the opponent for 1. So they had to get it's a lot of pieces to make the deck work. but if you can get your 4 combo pieces or whatever, then you can go off and you can win the game. So it was a lot like the Kethis combo in Historic, um, where you need like the 2, what is it, Mox Ambers or whatever, to go infinite. So it's kind of like that. It was very interesting, and I can see that there's probably going to be some improvement on that deck, and people will learn how to play it well. And so it could be scary at some point, but it does take, the 4 pieces assembling or whatever to get the combo to go off, at least from the version I played against. Nonetheless, I think a more toned down version could possibly work. Just using it for some free mana to like get your spells out there really quickly and have a huge board could be a thing. I think there's another way to use Rona for mana with what creature was it? Oh, Catilda. So if you wanted to go like a Bant deck, you could possibly do that. Up Rona for mana with Catilda. So maybe there's a couple different ways you could abuse that. I played Rona as well in just like a blue-white, just a blue-white deck that had a decent amount of legendaries in it. And I found the draw discard be nice. Draw discard, you get what you need, like a land or whatever. You play a legend creature, untap, you draw a discard again. So it like really fixes your draws super well. And I think the transform is just kind of icing on the cake. So you should want to play Rona whenever you have decks that can abuse the drawing and discarding. And then if the opponent doesn't respect your Rona, doesn't kill it, then late game you can flip it over and get the backside. All right, so I think that's it for the blue cards, and we talked about the red and the black. So maybe the only ones left are the white and the green. Okay, any white cards? I think I didn't see white cards actually doing very well in the early access event. I mean, of course, there's the existing white ones from the soldiers decks and stuff like that. Thalia is still good, etc. But not many of the new white cards were doing well. But I was pretty impressed with this card, Scroll Shift. I played a black-white blink deck, and I was able to blink my like Selfless Savior or my I don't know. There's a 2 mana creature which gets you a plains. I'm trying to blank on the name of that one, but so there's a lot of decent cards to blink in white and black. Even the new Sheoldred enters the battlefields and it destroys a creature, and so this is pretty good target to blink because you get to destroy another creature. So yeah, and also this is instant speed. It hits artifacts and enchantments as well. So there's I was able to put like the Phyrexian Flesh Gorger onto the battlefield for 3 mana. The opponent swung in, and then I blinked it, and so now I have the 7/5 version of the Flesh Gorger, which killed their creature and gained me 7 life. And this card drew a card, so it wasn't even like a bad trade for me. So you can do stuff like that, which is pretty impressive. And I think there's enough other blink spells in the format to make it worth it. So I think we could see a blink deck be good, but definitely this card in particular is pretty interesting. The fact that it's instant speed and draws you a card is very nice. Okay, the other white card, Zergo and Ojutai. I was quite impressed by this one. It's very solid. The fact that it swings in and draws you a card and has hexproof, so you can't deal with it. And then you can bounce it back and do it again. Definitely think it will be good in some sort of control deck where you can be sweeping the board, killing stuff, swinging in with your dragon, bouncing it back, sweeping the board again, etc. And it can also hit battles as well, which is really nice. So you could even run the Invasion of Tarkir or something like that and not have to worry about this getting killed by your own sweepers. So yeah, it's kind of like Goldspan almost, so you might get annoyed by it if it becomes too popular, but I definitely think some Jeskai control deck will enjoy this card. All right, the last one I think that we didn't talk about is Invasion of Zendikar. Oh no, there's one other card. Sorry, it's going pretty long. Sorry about that, but Invasion of Zendikar, very solid. We've seen this 4 mana put 2 lands on the battlefield before, so that's a pretty solid rate. And the backside is a 4/4 creature that has vigilance and haste, and can also be used for mana. So flipping this is super nice. You get basically a free mana back. You get a hasty creature. So it's just really, really nice. So I can see this being in most ramp decks. And ramp does seem pretty good. I do think ramp is going to be an archetype in this new format. But this is a great card. And it goes really well with the Topiary Stomper, which wants 7 lands on the battlefield. So you play the Topiary Stomper, it gets a land, you go to 4. Then the next turn you play a land and you cast this. And now it goes to 7 and you can swing in. So yeah, very solid. Fits right in that ramp deck and is very, very good. And why do we want 7 lands? Well, because Italy is 7 mana, and Italy is really, really powerful. I would say it's on par with Atraxa. Atraxa gets you a big hand. This gets you a huge board presence. Sometimes it whiffs because it can hit any non-land spell. So sometimes you get a removal card, or you get a battle, or you get something like that. So it's not perfect, but just getting 3 cards for free is, well, not free, but for 7 mana, is really good. It's crazy. It's really strong. And then you have a transform, which if you ever get to do it, you win the game basically, because you have trample and you do poison counters, and you're indestructible. So yeah, it's really insane. This card is insane. So I think we're gonna see probably some ramp deck that goes into Italy and maybe Atraxa. Because ramp is good, Italy is really good. I think we're going to see some sort of tokens deck that abuses this and Wedding Announcement. And I think we're going to definitely see some green deck which use the World Tree and this Doomskar Krieger. I don't know if that's even the English name, but you get the point. These 2 cards are definitely going to be spawning their own decks. And I'm kind of hopeful that there'll be some sort of Jeskai control deck which makes use of Ojutai. Other than that, I'm not super confident about other archetypes, but I think Phyrexian has a good shot, and I think Blink, yeah, it might be a sleeper. I think there could be a Blinker sort of deck in the format. So hopefully Soldiers will take a peg down so we don't have to keep saying that every Monday meta update, Soldiers is still the best deck. But we'll see. So that's my predictions for the new format. It comes out in 2 days. So yeah, hope you look forward to it. Let's see if my predictions were correct, but you can be sure that these cards are good. I'm very confident that these cards are all very, very good. So they're safe for you to craft. If you want to build a deck with these cards, I would say go ahead. You're not going to regret having these cards in one shape or another. They'll definitely have some deck that they can work in. All right, sorry for going so long on this one, but yeah, go out there, have some fun, and hope to see you when the new set comes out in just a few days. See ya.